Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. This story doesn't begin with a normal day or a gut feeling. It starts with a dog. There was a small white dog standing in our kitchen when I got home from work. Tail wagging, tongue out, wearing a sparkly pink collar that said Lenny. We don't have a dog. Charlene hates dogs. She says they're loud, hairy, and smell like old socks. We once babysat my cousin's Labrador for a weekend, and she booked herself a hotel to preserve her sanity. But today, there was Lenny, sitting on my favorite chair like he paid rent, like he lived here. And then I noticed the leash on the counter, the receipts on the table, the second toothbrush in our bathroom. I didn't scream. I didn't even move. I stood there like a forgotten statue while this dog, this uninvited guest, just blinked at me like I was the intruder. Then came her laugh. Upstairs. Not the fake one she gives to waiters, the real one. I'm so comfortable. I forgot to pretend kind. I called out, Charlene. Silence. Then the sound of hurried footsteps. A door creaking. Some whispering. And then, she appeared. Hair damp. Wearing a t-shirt that wasn't mine. Lipstick half removed, like she wiped it off in a rush. Oh, she said. You're early. No, hi honey. No, happy birthday. Just you're early. I was supposed to be late. Delayed by her carefully planned fake errand to the pharmacy. She even texted me an hour earlier. Can you pick up Tylenol and take your time? I'm setting something up. Face blowing a kiss. Yeah, she was setting something up all right. And just when I was about to ask the most basic human question, what is going on? There was a knock at the door. Not a gentle one. A party knock. The kind you do when you're holding a gift in one hand and a bottle in the other. She froze. I opened the door. And 30 people shouted. Surprise. Confetti cannons. Balloons. Her mom holding a sheet cake. My coworkers cheering. And right behind me, a guy with damp hair came down the stairs, slowly realizing what he'd walked into. And that's when everyone went silent. I hadn't said a word yet, but I was about to. And what I said is the reason no one in that room has looked at me the same way since. I didn't plan to say anything. Honestly, I thought I might just faint. That would have been easier. Just drop right there on the floor, skip the humiliation, let someone else clean it up. But instead, my mouth opened before I could stop it. Whose toothbrush is in my cup? That's what I said. Not who is he? Not are you cheating on me? Not even the dramatic. How could you? Just that. Whose toothbrush is in my cup? And the silence that followed? You could have heard the frosting harden on the sheet cake. Every person in that room, from my boss to her yoga instructor, looked at me like I'd just started bleeding from my ears. Charlene blinked. What? You heard me, I said. Top drawer. Right side. Next to my razor. There's a green toothbrush. I don't own a green toothbrush. The guy, still half hiding behind the stair rail, took a step back. I looked at him now. He wasn't anyone I recognized. Mid-30s, tanned, hair still damp from what I could only assume was a post-encounter rinse in our shower. Our shower. The same one where I once slipped and bruised my ribs installing that rainfall head she swore we needed. That was our space. Charlene cleared her throat. I think we should talk. In private. Oh no. I smiled, but not like a man who meant it. You planned a surprise party. So let's party. I walked straight to the living room, picked up a balloon, popped it between my palms, and said, who here knew? No one answered. Of course they didn't. But I saw the eyes shift. I saw her sister glance at the floor. I saw my coworker Keaton slowly set down the gift bag he was holding, like it had become too heavy to carry. This guy, I continued, pointing upstairs, was supposed to leave before I got here. But I guess I messed up the schedule by showing up 10 minutes early. My bad. Still silence. I turned to Charlene. You sent me to pick up Tylenol you didn't need so you could sneak a guy out before everyone yelled surprise. And the best part? You told them all to smile and pretend nothing's wrong. She tried to cut in. Merv, let's. Don't, I said. My voice cracked. I hate when it cracks. I sound like a balloon deflating. Don't Merv me like I'm being dramatic. I turned to the guests. This was going to be a surprise party, I said. But the real surprise? I wasn't invited to my own life. And that was when the guy, yes, the shirtless one, finally spoke. He stepped forward and said, I didn't know she was married. Somewhere in the back, someone gasped. Maybe it was real. Maybe it was for effect. Doesn't matter. She told me you were her roommate, he added. She said you were moving out. I laughed. It wasn't a nice laugh. It was the kind of laugh that belongs in the middle of a breakdown. Well, I muttered, I guess I am now. And I walked out. The dog, Lenny, followed me. He was the only one. I didn't go far. I didn't storm out, slam the door, or peel away in my car like they do in movies. I walked 2 blocks, sat down on a cold bench outside the gas station, and stared at a neon, open sign that buzzed like a dying bee. The dog, Lenny, sat next to me. No leash. No bark. Just there, like he knew I didn't want to be alone. I kept thinking maybe someone would chase after me. Maybe Charlene would burst out into the street, barefoot, mascara running, shouting my name like some cheap romantic drama. Maybe someone from the party would run after me and say, Mervyn. We had no idea. We thought he was her cousin or something. But no one came. Not even for the dog. That silence spoke louder than anything. So I did what I always do when I don't know what to do. I booked a cheap hotel room and went numb. Room 204. Smelled like cigarette smoke and regret. One sad lamp. A mirror that made me look 30 pounds heavier and twice as lonely. I laid down, fully clothed, and Lenny jumped on the bed like he owned the place. I should have been mad. I should have kicked him out. But the truth is, it felt better having him there. Around midnight, I got a text from Charlene. We need to talk. Please. I didn't reply. 10 minutes later. I can explain everything. Call me. Explain what exactly? That she brought a guy into our house while planning a birthday party for me? That she smiled while slicing cake with the same hands she used to wrap around him? That she let me live under the same roof while she replaced me without the decency of a conversation? I turned off the phone, but I couldn't turn off my brain. By morning, I was outside our house again. Not to forgive her, not to confront her, just to see it. To know it hadn't all been a dream. I half expected to see balloons still hanging, maybe a stray paper plate on the lawn, some trace of the horror show. Instead, everything was clean. Too clean. She'd vacuumed the driveway. Who vacuums a driveway? I let myself in. I still had my keys. And of course, she wasn't there. Just Lenny's pink leash on the table, and her perfume lingering in the air like it had nowhere else to go. I walked upstairs. I opened the bedroom door. The bed was made. A little too perfectly. Then I opened the sock drawer. Not hers. Mine. That's when everything changed. Inside was a letter, folded 3 times. My name in her handwriting on the front. Underneath it, a folded-up receipt from a jewelry store. 2 weeks old. I opened the letter. It was dated the day before the party. Mervyn, if you're reading this, it means you found out before I had the guts to tell you. I messed everything up. I didn't know how to end things. I didn't know how to say goodbye without losing everyone at once. The guy you saw isn't who you think. I need to talk to you, but not like this. Please don't hate me forever. I dropped the letter. Picked up the receipt. 1 women's gold ring. 1 men's silver band. Engraved. To my true beginning. A 2nd wedding set. What was she planning? I stared at that receipt like it was written in a foreign language, hoping the words would change if I blinked enough times. But they didn't. The date stayed the same. The engraving details were still there. To my true beginning. It hit me then. Those rings weren't for us. They were for her and him. She was planning a wedding. A 2nd one. While still married to me. My knees gave out, and I sat on the edge of the bed like my spine had disappeared. I couldn't tell if I was shaking from rage, heartbreak, or the realization that I'd been living in someone else's exit plan. All those nights she stayed late at work, all the sudden gym visits, the new lingerie she said was just for herself. I thought I was paranoid. Turns out I was just behind on the truth. The worst part? She left that receipt in my drawer. Not hers. Mine. She wanted me to find it eventually. Or maybe she forgot. Or maybe she didn't care anymore. I opened her closet next. It smelled like her. Like cinnamon and confidence. Neatly folded sweaters. A row of color-coded blouses. And then I saw it. A shoebox tucked behind a stack of scarves. I shouldn't have opened it, but I did. Inside were printed emails. Actual printed emails. Who even does that anymore? I scanned the first one. From Elliot. M. Mayors at *****. Subject. Next steps, Red Heart. I wish I could have held your hand last night when everyone was singing. Soon. Just a few more weeks. He'll understand. He's too soft to fight back. He always was. That was the moment something inside me cracked. Not because of what was said, but because of what wasn't. They didn't fear me. They didn't think I'd scream, or confront, or expose them. They thought I'd go quietly. Fade out. just like I always did. Too soft. That phrase circled my head like a vulture. I don't know how long I sat there. Could have been 10 minutes. Could have been an hour. But when I finally stood, I didn't feel like myself. I felt like a shadow of myself watching the real me from across the room. I walked back downstairs. Lenny padded after me like a ghost companion. I poured a glass of water, took a single sip, then threw the rest in the sink. The noise didn't startle me. Nothing could. Then my phone lit up on the table. Unknown number. I let it ring once, twice, then answered without speaking. Hey, it's Elliot. Silence. I know you probably don't want to talk. I wanted you to hear it from me. More silence. I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't even know she was still with you until a few weeks ago. She told me you were separated, that you were just staying until the lease ran out. I swear, man. I hung up. I didn't throw the phone. I didn't scream. I just powered it off and set it face down. Then I picked up a pen. Not for a dramatic letter. Not for revenge. I just needed to write something. Anything. To remind myself I still existed. I wrote one sentence on a torn envelope. I wasn't crazy. I was right. And suddenly, I didn't feel like crying anymore. I didn't go to work the next day. I couldn't. I told my boss I had food poisoning, which wasn't entirely a lie. Something inside me was rotting. Not my stomach, though. Just trust. Dignity. Reality. I laid in the hotel bed with Lenny snoring by my feet, the curtains drawn shut like a crime scene, and stared at the ceiling until the pattern of cracks started to look like veins in a giant, broken heart. I kept hearing that one phrase over and over. He's too soft to fight back. Like I was some harmless inconvenience. A speed bump on her way to a new life. Not a husband. Not a human being. Just a placeholder. A shadow. By noon, my hands were shaking so badly I spilled coffee on my jeans and didn't even flinch. I hadn't cried. Not yet. I wasn't holding it in, either. I think I was just waiting for the right reason. The final push. That came at 3:14 p.m. when my phone vibrated. Her mom was calling me. I almost didn't answer. But some twisted part of me needed to hear what she'd say. Mervyn? She asked. Yeah. Long pause. A breath. I heard about what happened, she said quietly. It's unfortunate. Unfortunate. Like I had dropped a casserole. I'm not calling to make things worse, she continued. I just think you should give Charlene a chance to explain. She was confused. These things happen when people grow in different directions. I didn't realize one of those directions was down a stranger's pants, I said flatly. She exhaled sharply, as if I had said something offensive. Then, the sentence came, the one that finally cracked me. I mean, honestly, Mervyn, maybe Elliot was just more what she needed. She said it like she didn't even realize what name came out of her mouth. Not me. Not you. Elliot. I didn't respond. Oh, she stammered. I didn't mean to, I mean. But I hung up. And this time, I threw the phone. It hit the dresser and fell flat on the floor. Lenny jumped off the bed and looked at me, confused. Maybe even disappointed. Like he thought I was better than this. I wasn't. I was exactly what they thought. Weak. Passive. A background character in my own story. I sat on the carpet, knees pulled to my chest, and I finally broke. It wasn't loud or messy, just quiet tears that soaked through my shirt as I buried my face in my arms and tried to disappear into the floor. And in that moment, I realized no one was coming to save me. No one was going to rush in and say, "You didn't deserve this." Because they all knew. Some even approved. I stayed there until the sun dipped low, shadows crawling across the walls. Then I wiped my face, stood up, and said to the empty room, "All right. You want soft? You got it." I drove back to the house, not because I wanted answers, but because I wanted my things. I wasn't going to let her rewrite this story like I never mattered. I was going to leave on my terms. But when I opened the front door, I realized she'd already taken that away too. The living room was empty. The furniture, gone. The framed photos, missing. The entire house looked like it had been evacuated in a panic. Except one thing was left behind. Sitting in the middle of the floor. A ring box. Open. Empty. And a note that said, "Since you always forget what you're worth, here's your reminder." The first thing I noticed, besides the empty space where our couch used to be, was the smell. Our house had always smelled like cinnamon and old books. That was gone now. The air felt sterile. Staged. Like a house on display for strangers to walk through and imagine a life that had never been mine. My wedding photo, the one I begged her to keep on the mantel even after the frame cracked, was gone. So were my books, my grandfather's clock, even the ugly floor lamp I found at a garage sale, and she always claimed to hate. It was like I'd been erased, not just from her present, but from her past. And yet, there in the middle of the hardwood floor, she left that stupid little ring box open like a taunt. The note beside it was written in her handwriting, precise, looping, and arrogant. Since you always forget what you're worth, here's your reminder. What was I supposed to be reminded of? That I was worthless? That I was the soft one? The backup plan she never actually needed? I stood there, holding that note, waiting for something to break inside me again, but this time, it didn't. Something had calcified. Something had snapped and stayed snapped. I wasn't angry. Not yet. But I was cold, focused, and very, very tired of feeling like I was the only one drowning in this. I went upstairs to see if she left anything else behind. Our bed gone. The bedding, the pillows, the headboard we spent 3 weekends building together, gone. But the closet door was open, and something caught my eye. In the back corner, tucked under a dust-covered box of Halloween decorations, was a folded sweatshirt. Mine. I picked it up, and, underneath it, found a manila envelope. No label. No tape. Inside were photos. Dozens of them. Charlene and Elliot. Together. Not just in hotel rooms or behind closed doors, but everywhere. A beach I didn't recognize. A ski resort we never visited. Even a selfie of them in my car. My car. I couldn't breathe. It was like watching my entire marriage dissolve frame by frame. Her smile in those photos was real. Too real. The kind of smile I hadn't seen in years. Not around me. One photo stood out. It was the two of them at a restaurant. I stared at it, trying to figure out what felt so wrong, until I realized the guy in the background wasn't just any guy. It was me. Me. Sitting alone. At a table. 2 booths behind them. She'd taken him to our place. Our anniversary spot. And I had been there the same night. Oblivious. Eating alone while she laughed behind me with a man she claimed she barely knew. I dropped the photo. I couldn't feel my legs. That's when I heard the front door creak open downstairs. Footsteps. Soft. Uncertain. I reached the top of the stairs just as a stranger stepped into the living room. Mid-40s, flannel shirt, holding a folder in one hand and a confused look on his face. "Sorry," he said, startled. "I didn't think anyone was still living here. I'm the realtor." My voice came out raw. "Realtor?" He looked at me, then down at his folder. "Yeah. Charlene said she was moving out this week. Property's already listed. I just came to drop off the lockbox and do some early photos for the site." I stared at him. "This is my house." He blinked. "Wait, you're Mervyn?" I nodded. He looked mortified. "Oh, wow. She said you'd left. That you didn't want anything to do with the place anymore." I didn't respond. I couldn't. Every time I thought I'd reached the edge of betrayal, Charlene handed me a new map. She was selling the house. Without telling me. Without my name. Without my consent. Without even giving me the chance to say goodbye to the place I thought would be our forever. The realtor left quickly after I told him I wasn't going anywhere. He apologized 3 times on the way out and even offered to call his boss. I told him not to bother. There was no lockbox going on my front door. Not until I understood how far this had gone. And more importantly, how she thought she'd get away with it. I sat on the bare floor for over an hour, trying to piece it together. Charlene hadn't just cheated on me. She hadn't just planned a second life. She'd rewritten the ending of our story without me even knowing we were close to the final chapter. She took the house, the furniture, the photos, the ring. She even took my name off the mortgage, at least according to a blurry scan I later found in her desk drawer, with my signature forged like it was nothing more than a scribble on a receipt. But what came next? I didn't see it coming. My phone buzzed again, an unknown number. Normally, I'd ignore it. But something told me to pick up. Mervyn. It was Tara, Charlene's best friend. The same one who hosted the surprise party. The same one who was there when I walked in and saw it all unravel. "I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from," she said quietly. "But I think you need to see something." I didn't say a word. "She's been telling people you abused her," Tara continued. "That you were emotionally controlling. That you isolated her from friends. That you made her afraid to leave." The room started spinning. She said the affair happened because she felt unsafe. That she was trying to escape a toxic marriage. Mervyn, I believed her. We all did. That's why no one said anything at the party. That's why no one stopped her. I couldn't breathe. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. I wanted to scream, laugh, cry, anything. But I just sat there, phone pressed to my ear like it might dissolve in my hand. She even told Elliot that you had anger issues, that you used to throw things, that you threatened to hurt her dog if she ever left you. That's why he followed her home that night. He thought you were dangerous. I looked down at Lenny, curled up beside me, snoring. The softest creature alive. She's building a case, Tara said. And I can't be part of it anymore. I know you. You're not the man she says you are. I'm sorry. I should have asked questions. I thanked her. I don't really remember. I just know the phone eventually slipped out of my hand, and I sat there in that half-empty room while everything started falling into place. This wasn't just betrayal. This was war. She hadn't left me. She was trying to erase me, turn me into the villain, make herself the hero, tell everyone a story where I was the problem. A bitter, unstable husband who drove her into the arms of another man. The house. She was selling it to fund a new start. The ring? A symbol of her freedom. And me? I was just supposed to disappear. Quietly. Pathetically. Like I always did. But she made one mistake. She underestimated the one thing I still had left. The truth. After Tara's call, I didn't rage. I didn't go on some revenge tour or post screenshots online. That's what she expected. That's the story she had already written for me. The unstable, bitter man who couldn't handle rejection. I wasn't giving her that satisfaction. Not anymore. Instead, I got smart. I collected everything. Every receipt. Every forged signature. Every photo she thought she'd hidden. I printed her emails to Elliot. I made copies of the mortgage paperwork. I even found a voice memo on her old iPad where she talked about making him look bad enough to win the house without a fight. I took it all to a lawyer. One who didn't care that I cried through half the consultation. One who looked me in the eye and said, "She's not going to win this." And she didn't. 2 months later, the court sided with me. The forged documents? Thrown out. The abuse claims? Disproven, documented, and dismissed. The house? Mine. She left with nothing but her lies and a fiancé who, according to a very public social media meltdown, didn't take the truth nearly as well as she hoped. As for me, I didn't become some new man overnight. I still flinch when I see red dresses. I still wake up sometimes expecting her to be lying next to me, smirking at a message I'll never read. But I'm healing. Slowly. Quietly. On my terms. Lenny's still with me. He's curled up at my feet right now, snoring like a broken fan. And last week, I bought a new couch. Not to replace what was stolen, but to start over. In a house that's mine again. In a life that finally feels like it belongs to me. Sometimes people ask me why I didn't fight louder. Why I didn't expose her to the world. But here's the truth. Revenge fades. Growth echoes. I didn't burn her down. I rebuilt me. That's the end of this story, but maybe it's the beginning of yours. Have you ever had someone try to rewrite your life? What moment from this story hit you hardest? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Reddit Confessions for more stories just like this. Raw, real, and painfully true.